There are people all over the world looking to create better lives for themselves and their families. These are moms or retirees or college students, everyday people. They are Amazon sellers, and these are their stories. Hey guys, on this episode of Jungle Scout Seller Stories, I'm joined by Brett Bohannon. How's it going today, Brett?
It's going really good. You and yourself, Greg?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm really excited to have you on today. Before we get started, you want to tell the audience a little bit more just about who you are?
Yeah, I'm just, my name is Brett Bohannon, plain old guy, and been selling on Amazon for almost about 2 years now.
Cool. And give us a little bit of your background, like wherever is appropriate, like what you're doing before that, or what made you decide to get started, or give us a little bit of the history.
So I got started in around end of June, July of 2016. Right before ReviewGate. But got started right then. It was actually a side gig for me. The wife and I was in a sales job for about 5 years prior and got into another new sales job that was taking me away from my family quite a bit. And we had a 2-year-old at that time, and we were pregnant with our second one. So, being gone for 4 to 5 days a week really wasn't the ideal situation for our family. So we started doing selling on Amazon, and we started a couple of things before that, and then we landed on Amazon. And then I actually got let go of that job in January of 2017. So about a year ago. It was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. And then I took on selling on Amazon as a full-time gig.
I hear that from a lot of people. I think it's really tough for people to quit kind of like the job they've known for a while, or kind of like a plush job. But everyone always says like when they get let go, that was like the best thing that ever happened to them, right? At least most like entrepreneurial type people, because like, okay, that's what like kind of gave me like the kick in the butt I needed to like get a little more serious about this. So that's very cool.
For sure.
What did you try before you stumbled upon the whole Amazon thing?
We were trying out little different entrepreneurial niches, delivery services from farmers market, things of that nature. And really, nothing really felt good at that time, just because it was kind of a side gig, and we enjoyed our weekends together when I was working. Right. So we kind of tried those, and we tried some online stuff. And then we actually had some friends that were in the Amazon space, and they actually helped us kind of get our feet wet a little bit.
So your friends were doing well with it. They were like, Brett, you got to check this stuff out. And then did they kind of train you, or you found some stuff online, or how'd you kind of like learn how to get started?
They gave us like kind of the know-how, just the kind of, one thing that they said to us that really hit me was basically like, hey, if it doesn't work out, you just sell it for what you bought it for, and you're good to go, and you try out the next product. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Let's do it. And right. Literally we were out to dinner and they said that, and I was like, awesome, I'm doing it. Let's go. And I did. And I also did dabble in, podcasts, the Amazing Seller podcast. I listened to that quite a bit. Nice. But I got to a point where it was kind of information overload, and I was just getting so much information left and right, so much left and right. And I was just like, whoa, I need to kind of just hone in and focus and just go and do. I learned a lot. I definitely wasn't perfect out the get-go. And I learned a lot of efficiency, and I learned a lot of what not to do and what to do.
I think that actually happens to a lot of people, like the information overload, like you were saying. And thankfully you were able to kind of like get through that. But I think a lot of times people get stuck that it's like Greg says, look for products that have 10 sales a day or more. But this guy said, look for 5, and that guy said 15. And what do I do? And at the end of the day, like you just have to get started. And I think that's a great point that you brought up, that pretty much worst case scenario is like you sell it at about your cost. Maybe you lose a little bit of money, make a little bit of money, but like you're still like purchasing an asset that can be sold. Like it might have to be sold at a discount, but it's never like you're out all your money, right? So I'm glad you kind of like looked at it like that. How many products, where are you at on Amazon now? Like how many products do you have? How much revenue do you do? Can you give us a little insight?
We started off in one niche, and it actually did really well. I call ourselves kind of lucky. It
Nice.
wasn't just one product though. We kind of got ourselves into the niche and spread it across quite a bit. Overall, since we started, I have about over 100 SKUs right now.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and probably about, I'd say 60 to 70% of that is in that one niche. And then we kind of branched off into a couple other niches And then actually to date, this current spot, I'm working with other brands and helping them bring it on Amazon as well. And I'm doing a little bit of wholesaling as well, which I saw your guys' webinar. And I was like, oh, that's what I'm going to do. So I jumped on that the other day.
Cool.
So yeah, so it's been really good. Doing on average right now about 25K a month.
I have lots of questions to ask you, but I want to kind of rewind again a little bit towards like the phase of getting started, because I know this is where like most people get hung up. All right. So, you know, you say you're out to dinner with them, and I think it helps a lot when it's like a friend or like someone you know that's like getting started, because like, okay, like I know this guy well or this girl well. If they can do it, like I probably can too. Because a lot of people, I think they're like watching this right now, and they're like, okay, like Brett's selling 25K a month on Amazon. He's doing real well, but he has this or that or something else that like I don't have. You know, like I think a lot of people like tell themselves kind of those excuses because they tell me that, and that's actually what I would like. That's the position I was in, you know, like back before I ever got started selling, right? So, like, give me a little more insight what was going through like your head. I mean, like, were you scared? Were you like confident in your abilities? Did you just have enough savings that like that amount of money wasn't like very material to you? Try to remember back there, and I'm going to want to dig into it a little bit deeper.
That's a great question because it touches on a lot of things. But one of my sales jobs for about 5 years, I was kind of alone down here in the Southern California area. And I was required to do a lot. And that was, I even had to purchase some products from other suppliers. I had to do my own gross margin reports, and then just basically sell. So a lot of that kind of, I was looking back on it just recently and reflecting, a lot of that helped me through this process of selling on Amazon and basically starting off. Now, I said earlier about efficiencies and things like that. That's where it was a little troublesome, and that's where our friends were able to help out, because we got in right before the holidays in December. It was the first December. We were like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Nice.
So they came over one day, and we were packaging up our products and putting them in bags, and she's like, hey, you don't have to do this. We were like, what? She's like, you can outsource this to your suppliers. I'm like, oh, okay. And then another light bulb came off.
Right. Like, I don't have to do any of the grunt work anymore.
Exactly. So those little things, and yeah, there's definitely some frightening times that I was just like, oh no, but we were lucky. We did have some savings saved up to help us. I think my first PO was like, I think about $300.
Okay.
So it really wasn't a lot
Right.
to kind of test it. And that's where I was like, I really want to test it, try it out. And yeah, the shipping might be a little bit more and all these little things, but I was like, I want to test this product, see if it works. It did. And then we're like, okay, let's double down on this and let's keep going.
Do you think you would have been able to do this without the experience from your past job of, putting together the financial reports and like buying some of this stuff from some of the factories? Do you feel like you would have been able to figure that stuff out, or were those like key skills for you?
No, I think I would have been able to figure it out. Going back to the kind of the information thing, there's so much information out there now that if you're just Google savvy and you have the resources to kind of look it up, I think anyone could do it, truthfully. It might take a little longer. Like if you got, I don't know if this is accurate, but if you got a more creative person who's more into like arts and stuff like that, who doesn't really kind of think that way, it might take them a little bit longer to do it. If you have a more entrepreneurial spirit, if you're kind of savvy with numbers and things of that way and kind of being creative in that aspect, I think it could take a little faster.
That first product, it was a private label product, or is that right?
Yeah, private label product. Yep.
Okay, cool. What was your experience? Did you order from a Chinese factory or somewhere else?
Yeah, actually it was a Chinese factory. Yep.
Okay. Tell me about that first experience working with the Chinese factory. Like, I know that's scary for a lot of people. Tell me about kind of like how it went for you.
They were extremely nice. I mean, you have to kind of decipher their emails and WhatsApp sometimes, and you kind of have to sit there for about 5 minutes and go, oh, what are they trying to say, or are they really saying this and this and this? But for the most part, it was pretty easy. There was one supplier down the road on a new product that I did get burned on, that just didn't make the product the right way, and then lost contact with them. So unfortunately, I know that there's horror stories out there, but it's just kind of vetting out those suppliers. And and really for me and for my wife, because she's kind of in on it. I
Nice.
always ask her for questions, and it was just that feeling. It was just like, I don't really feel good about this supplier. It doesn't feel right, or something feels a little off. And then they weren't flexible with how you can pay, kind of thing like that, like, paying PayPal or other methods. So yeah, just keep an eye on that stuff.
Tell me a little bit more about that, about how you got burned, and just give me a little more details about that whole process.
Well, truthfully, I found all my suppliers on Alibaba,
Okay.
and definitely tried to vet them out as much as I possibly could before. Found one for one particular product, and excuse me, and they were everything was fine. The first point of contact, she was great. I felt great, and then she got let go. So a new person came on, and I don't know if something got lost in that translation or in that transition with this product, but it didn't come in correctly, and it was totally off, and it wasn't packaged as I requested, and it wasn't even the same color as I requested.
Mm.
So afterwards, I talked to them and said, hey, this is not right. Can I get a little bit of a refund, or can I send some back? I don't need all this. And then just lost contact with
Nothing
them.
after that. So
Yeah.
what did you have to end up doing with all that product?
I just discounted it quite a bit. A lot of it actually I just donated. So I was sitting on it for about a year, and said, it's all good. I'll use it as a tax write-off.
How much money do you think you lost from that?
If I was to sell it, probably a couple grand.
But I guess since you donated it, you lost more than that. So
Oh yeah, the actual price of it.
yeah, like how
Yeah.
big of like a mistake was that? I'm trying to like put it in like dollars, about like
Yeah, I probably lost about $1,000.
$1,000. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean that's I think that's like good context to give to people too, though, right? It's like that was a bad experience. It was probably pretty stressful at the time. Like you were pissed off, like because they weren't responding to you. You got this crappy product in. You probably felt really discouraged. But I guess like at the end of the day, now you're selling like $25K a month. It was only $1,000. At the end of the day, like yeah, there's some headaches, but like you learned a lot from that, and like you got through
Absolutely.
it, right?
Yeah.
So,
And I think what you just said right there is the biggest part, is that you learn from it.
right.
And you really don't dwell on it that long, because there's really not much you can do in
Yeah.
kind of some situations like that. And you just go, okay, good learning experience, and kind of move on and go forward.
What can the audience do so that doesn't happen to them? Let's learn from your $1,000 mistake so we don't have to make it, Brett.
For sure. I'd love to help as many people out as I can. A lot of the times what I did after that was show me post-production samples, like a photo of them. I think that is really key thing to learn, because if it's not, you'll be like, whoa, that's not correct. Or a lot of the times suppliers, they'll just want 30% down, 70% after all the product's done, which is always a good agreement, because then you kind of have some leverage, and you got 70% in your pocket going, hey, that's not the right product that I requested. And having documentation of it, especially if you're going to go that route. Building relationships with these people is pretty awesome and pretty easy. And so having, that leverage to basically be like, hey, I'll give you 30% and then I'll pay you 70% after finish, with proof of goods kind of thing. I think that's a good way about going about it.
Have you ever hired any of the inspection companies like Asian Inspection or V-Trust or anyone?
I haven't. I've looked into it. I actually have I have my products come to me first before going to fulfillment warehouses. Kind of the reason being is I like to kind of see them. I also sell them through other channels as well. So sometimes I'll fulfill them. So a lot of the times I like to kind of have my hands on them and make sure that they're up to quality. That's just my way of doing it. I know there's a lot of other ways of doing it, such as hiring other companies and things of that nature.
But I guess it sounds like what you do now is you ask your sales rep to send you photos either through the production process or after it's completed. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's like a no-brainer for anyone. I call it like the poor man's inspection or whatever, but I do it on all of my production runs, even if I'm getting like a formal inspection done at the end, because it doesn't cost you anything. It's fun to see the pictures anyway. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like when you get them in your inbox, like it's sweet to look
Oh yeah.
through. It's like, oh wow, like this is what the factory looks like. This is cool.
Yeah.
And as long as like you ask up front, like I've never had any sales rep give me any pushback on that. Like when I place the initial order, I'll just tell them like, hey, I want pictures like of the raw materials, like of 2 times when they're in production, and then like the final product in all the cartons. And I've
Yeah.
never had anyone tell me no. So it's like, why would you not go for it, right? It's like, if nothing else, it's fun.
For sure, for sure. And on that front, don't like for all the listeners, don't be afraid to ask questions because you really like. I've asked so many. Like at first, I was like, okay, they're like, I don't know what I could ask them, but I was like, why? Like my motto is always the answer is always the same until you ask. So I would literally ask them some random questions, and they're like, oh yeah, and they're like, oh, and I'm like, oh, that's amazing, cool. So it's like ask them so many different questions. Whatever
Right.
you feel like asking them, ask them. Like it's why not?
Yeah, I think a lot of people maybe are scared because they think that the supplier thinks that they're like pretty like amateur, not like a serious business person if they have kind of like these questions that they're worried maybe like obvious to people. But
Yeah.
I don't see like an issue with that at all. Like just ask away like any questions you have,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh
the
yeah.
sales reps don't care. That all the sales reps care about really is like building a relationship with you and getting you to reorder products like a bunch of times. So they're gonna be really friendly to you. And so you might as well
Yeah.
ask them a bunch of questions.
Yeah, exactly. And on that topic too is I had in a different niche, some of the products came in damaged, and she's like, the sales rep was like, cool, I'll send you out new ones right away. Like how
Nice.
many came in damaged? And she's like, boom, in the mail, done. I was like, oh, awesome. So
So what other channels do you sell through besides Amazon?
now I have a Shopify site up. We
Okay.
mostly do some wholesale stuff. Actually, I honestly don't drive a lot of traffic to it. That is one thing that I'm starting to do this year. And then what we're also doing is we're branching off into the other e-commerce platforms that we're looking into other than Amazon. So Walmart.com, Jet.com, and things of that nature.
What percentage of your sales right now are on Amazon versus your Shopify store or elsewhere?
I mean, right now I'm literally setting up Walmart and Jet, so
Okay.
0% on those. So I'd probably say 97% on Amazon, and then
Okay.
3% on Shopify right now.
How do you get traffic to your Shopify store at the moment?
I wasn't driving traffic to it. I was so focused on Amazon this past year that it was kind of, I literally set it up for brand registry, and that was basically it.
Okay.
And then we got some, people, I believe, that bought it on Amazon, went to our website, just found us due to our brand. And then we're interested in like wholesaling and things of that nature. So we have about a dozen wholesalers throughout the United States. And then we also I've started to implement Pinterest through Shopify and then BuzzFeed as well. It's a really easy thing to do on the back end of Shopify. You can turn those things on and set a
Cool.
commission rate for BuzzFeed. Yeah, it's a pretty easy thing to do. I just did that recently, so I don't have any data on that yet, but
Right.
it's starting to drive some more traffic. And honestly, a lot of the orders that I do get are just from organic searches. So it's starting to rank on Google. So it's pretty nice.
So you're getting the product manufactured, you're shipping it to your house, and then you have other companies purchasing the goods from you, and you sell them and ship them to them in bulk. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
And they
Yep.
have like brick and mortar stores, or where are they selling the products?
Yeah. So brick and mortar stores or studios. My niche is in the kind of wellness studio or wellness realm.
Okay.
So some kind of yoga studios, things of that
Cool.
nature, wellness centers, things like that.
Do you make them sign like any kind of agreement that they can't sell on Amazon as to not cannibalize those sales, or are you not worried
Um,
about it? Or
I don't think it's really hit that point yet.
okay.
Yeah, I haven't. You get those random things when you look up your product on eBay and people are selling it for double the amount, but it's like, hey,
Right.
they bought it from me on Amazon, so it's like whatever.
Right.
Um, so I'm okay with that. At first, when I saw that, and I was like, oh, that's messed up, but I was like, well, I'm getting the sale, so
What a lot of people probably don't know what you're talking about. Can you describe that a little bit more?
business buyers actually buy product on Amazon, and then they just turn around and resell it on eBay. I haven't seen too many other channels of doing it because I don't think too many others can really kind of be in that realm. But yeah, so I researched my products on eBay and I was like, huh, that's interesting. Doubled,
Right.
sometimes 3 times the amount. And it's actually funny. Now on Amazon, you can actually find out who's doing that if they're a business buyer, and you can kind of be in the business profile section, and you can see how many people are buying your products as a business buyer. So that's
Yeah. I think what a lot of those people do, if I'm not mistaken, is, they'll just put it on eBay for like double the price. And if someone actually, like, very rarely do they ever sell them, but when they do, I think they just order it from Amazon at that point, right? And
Yep,
maybe
yeah.
ship it to their house using their Prime membership. But yeah,
Yeah,
but
basically like a drop shipper.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I'm like you. I'm like, well, whatever. I don't really care. Like, they're still buying it for me. It's still a sale. Like, yeah, it seems a little weird, but whatever.
Yeah. Like October, November, I got into Canada, and I actually noticed that with Canada too. People were selling my products on the Canada site. And I was like, oh, that's funny. Well, I'll just sell my products at the lower price. But
Right.
so they were doing that in Canada, and then I just recently did it over to the UK, and no one was doing that on the UK. So that was good.
What percentage of your sales would you say happen on the international marketplaces? Have you had much luck with them or not really?
Yeah, so I did my first test. I had no idea what to do, like no clue at all. I was like, it was always in my back mind, but I was like all that stuff. But
Right.
the cool thing is Amazon in that process, it like made it really easy for me. Like they had a webinar, and they're like, reach out to us, and so like I got my VAT tax set up that was like $350 for like free. They put me in touch with their preferred person and whatnot, and it was extremely easy. Like it was kind of one of the easiest things ever. And sometimes when Amazon pushes something, you kind of go, huh? And you kind of listen and go, all right, I'll follow suit and see what happens. So I did. I had some inventory on hand, and I just sent a box out and tested it out, and it did pretty good. So my second one actually is getting sent right now. Another small one, because it was in a weird period, right before the holidays, right kind of after I did my large purchase for the holidays. So
Do you have plans on expanding to other marketplaces, or give us a little insight? What's the future look like for you?
I signed up for the deal where it's like your hub is in the UK and you can sell on the other marketplaces.
Right.
I think I've sold one or two in like Germany or one of those other ones. It hasn't been a lot. UK has been well for a couple of my SKUs. But yeah, just kind of letting that kind of go. Every time I order some, I'm just gonna have a certain percentage shipped over to the UK. It's extremely easy to do. Like my suppliers, I'm like, hey, I want X amount to go to the UK, and here's the contact for my freight forwarder and all that, and they take care of that, and he bills me, and it's really easy. It's pretty crazy. But the future for me is I want to kind of integrate wholesaling a little bit more into it. Everything's kind of running smoothly with the private label side. Things have gotten a little saturated on some things, and that's what happens with products. But like I said, we kind of stretched it along the niche rather than just focusing on one product. I think that's pretty important these days, is kind of getting into a niche and bringing on a couple products within that niche. Also just helps your sales. 80-20 rule, the more you have, and make 80% of your profit for 20% of your products. So yeah, so kind of getting the wholesale mix in and all that. That's kind of where I'm looking to go.
I think a lot of people are intimidated by the freight forwarder process, or the process from just getting goods from China to the US. You mentioned earlier that it was really easy. Can you just walk us through that step real quick, or walk us through the process real quick?
I actually do it. I don't even have an account with any freight company. I go with what my suppliers do. They're probably might be overcharging me. You can cut that out too if you want to, but I don't know. But for the most part, it works for my product. So, but with the UK, working with these freight forwarders is extremely easy. I mean, that was one of my biggest things was, I was like, oh crap, there's another step that I have to do. But you literally just send them the information, and then they take care of it. And I was kind of baffled by it, how easy it was. But basically, I'll get an invoice from my supplier. I figure out as soon as it's done, or or in the middle with the estimated cost or estimated dimensions and all that, whether it's a pallet or a couple of cases. My goods are smaller, so it's usually just a couple cartons. Forward that information on with your FBA shipping label. I'm talking just overseas in this case. And then basically just give them all that information and the contact for your supplier, and they'll contact your supplier directly and get it all set up.
I get a lot of questions from people who are like, what about Form 3794 US Customs forms? Like, I have no idea. Like, how it works is, I mean, like, I know how the whole process works, but like, I don't know the fine print of like these forms and stuff, because I just pay a freight forwarder and they just handle it. Okay. It's like,
yeah,
you create a shipment inside Seller Central, you know where your goods need to end up. My goods are in a factory at China. Like, the intermediate step is to hire a freight forwarder, pay them the money, and they get the goods there.
People who are just starting off and whatnot can get really hung up on that step, I think, because
yeah,
it seems like it's so hard because you're like, oh, customs were a custom, and then you can just kind of overwhelm yourself and you're just like, and you freeze. So,
right.
I think finding someone that knows what they're doing is always a good thing, because then you can focus on products, your next steps in your business, rather than focusing on all these little logistical things that you don't need to be a pro in,
Yeah. I think it's almost like impossible to like do all that yourself. Like, you just have to hire a freight forwarder. Like, that's just how it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where do you see the market heading? Like, do you still see yourself as an Amazon seller like 3 years from now, 5 years from now? How do you see like the kind of like the overall market, the overall opportunity, and like your place in it evolving over the next 3 to 5 years?
I don't want to put a time frame on it. But yeah, all my long-term goals include Amazon. I think Amazon's not going anywhere. I think there's so much speculation on what can happen and what will happen and all that. So many people will say their opinion and we just don't know. Amazon changes things in an instant and you're like, what? So yeah, I definitely am going to incorporate Amazon in my long-term goals from here on out. It's a crucial thing. It's what I've been doing for almost 2 years. I really enjoy it. I was talking to my wife the other day, I just love the process of making it better than the next person, and looking at all the conversions and finding people to just get that up a couple more percentages can help out tremendously. So yeah, definitely Amazon is definitely in my bag of tricks for a while.
All Amazon sellers want to be off Amazon, right? Like, they want to have their own store and like everyone buys through their store, and they want to be on like 5 different platforms. But the truth of it, from like what I've found, my own experience and everyone I've talked to, it's like Amazon's the 800-pound gorilla. Like, you might as well just incorporate them into your plans if you're selling physical products online, because yeah, it'd be great if like most of your sales come from somewhere else, but all the shoppers are going to Amazon. It's like, we might as well just sell our products where the shoppers are.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with having your products on different channels, but I think if you're looking to start somewhere, Amazon's the place to start. It took me a little over a year and a half to actually be like, okay, now I'm going to implement some other channels,
Right.
I don't think it's worthwhile to go right off the bat, be like, okay, I'm going to do Amazon, I'm going to do XYZ and Walmart and Jet and all that good stuff, because that's just really going to overwhelm you.
Yeah.
So it's like, start
Good
on
point.
Amazon, get it going, then feel comfortable and be like, okay, cool. I can, I'm continuously learning. This process feels a little bit more comfortable for me, and then branch off to those, and then kind of figure out how to incorporate all that.
A lot of people ask me, like, would you recommend starting with like a Shopify store or like an Amazon, or like selling physical products on Amazon? It sounds like, Brett, we both agree that Amazon's definitely the place to start. Something to like, for everyone to keep in mind, Brett, you obviously know this, but the beautiful thing about the Amazon marketplace is the customers and the traffic's already there. Okay. Like, we just have to put whatever product that people are buying up on there, offer it for a competitive price with good pictures, blah, 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 blah. And like, they'll buy it. When you build like a Shopify store or any e-commerce site, people don't just like naturally show up there. Like, you have to send customers there. And that's like the hard part. It's easy to set up a Shopify store. It's easy to list a few products on there, but like getting the buyers to your own website is what's challenging. So
their traffic is the main thing. And Amazon has like, I don't even know, but
Billions, I don't know.
yeah,
A ton of people.
It's a crazy amount. It's probably the number one trafficked website, or maybe number two. I don't know, but yeah, and it's funny that you bring up Shopify, because I talk to people and they're always like, I'm going to build a Shopify site, and it's like almost like they think just building a Shopify site is going to make people go to that Shopify site. I'm like, no, it's just like a website. It just makes it really easy to make, but you still need to drive people to that website. So it's pretty funny.
Right. I think a lot of people are in the impression like, if you build it, they will come. It's like, no, if you build it, you have to send people there.
Yeah, it's not like Field of Dreams. I wish.
No. Shopify stores are not like Field of Dreams. That's good.
Yes.
That's great. So starting to wrap things up here, if you were to give some advice to yourself 2 years ago, just getting started, or same thing for the people listening to this, looking to just get started now, what are a few tips you would have for yourself or for them?
It's a lot easier than you think it is. I think that's a really good tip, because you can literally outsource everything in this process. You could, if you want to go down that route, you could definitely do it. And ask as many questions as possible, and literally just do it. I think those are the three main things, because you really can get your products up and going with little manual time on your end, if you just ask questions and if you just do it. So I think that's kind of the biggest thing.
I like that a lot. And you're totally right. Like, don't let any one point of the process hold you up, because you can outsource any like one part of it, right? Like, if you are intimidated by packaging design, like you hire a designer and like they do it for you. Like you pay them a couple $100 or whatever. Like if you're intimidated by photography, same thing, or creating your listing, like people will do all this stuff for you. So don't let any one part hang you up.
Yeah. And
I like that.
Kind of on that note, I had one product come in. It was our first go of this product. And I skipped a design aspect on the box, and I was like, oh crud. So I ordered some stickers, and it was 500 products first. And I was like, I don't want to do all these stickers. So I was like, I got some kids in the neighborhood. I'll buy them some candy and some ice cream. And literally there's 5 kids in my garage just doing it real quick. And
awesome.
It's just like, that's outsourcing.
Right. I like it. There might be some child labor laws. We'll edit that part out. No,
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
You can edit that part out. It was an agreement with their parents. Their parents said it was.
Oh yeah, their parents. Yeah. Okay. So, a lot of people want to become entrepreneurs because essentially how I think of it, it's all around like freedom. We have like this hashtag like freedom builders at Jungle Scout, like whether it's like financial freedom or freedom from time or whatever else. How has, becoming the seller, becoming an entrepreneur changed your life? Like what freedoms has it given you?
Honestly, it's given me the best freedom to just be with my kids a little more. I have a 3 and a 1-year-old, and I just love spending time with them. I'm not saying it's always perfect. There's ups and downs, because as an entrepreneur, you're constantly thinking about your business. So you really have to work on, being in a spot where you can concentrate on your business and then be with your kids. We're almost in the spot where I'm like, okay, we need to get a bigger warehouse, especially with this new model that I'm doing and all that good stuff. So we're like, and then I'm like, oh, that terrifies me, because I'm going to be like that 9-to-5er, but it's like, it's not, I'm not punching in. I can go in whenever I want. And me and my wife were just talking about that the other day, but that's really the freedom it's allowed. And it's allowed us to kind of explore a little more and go do things where we're not really tied down to being somewhere at a certain time. So it's been good.
I love it. That's amazing. And you'll never regret that your whole life, right? Like you'll look back and think about it like, man, if I would have kept that sales job, I was traveling 4 days a week or whatever you said, like that's a lot of time, like away from your family, especially when you have a few small kids, you would have missed to see them grow up a lot. So it's really cool to think about, right? Like 10 years from now, you'll look back on this and be like, man, that was like one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, probably, which is inspiring and awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I'm pretty stoked on it. Every day is a journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Brett, thank you very much for coming on for this episode of Jungle Scout Seller Stories. I've really enjoyed it. I know the rest of the audience has as well. So I hope you have a fantastic day.
Awesome. You too, Greg. Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.